very abstract and also just lots of black and white and cubic shapes, and it must have been amazing, back in the day to see this kind of thing.
Welcome to WatchMojoUK, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 7 Antiques Roadshow Controversies.
During the Civil War, for the Confederate soldiers, they started producing swords and weapons and accoutrements and so forth.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
For this list, we'll be looking at 7 scandalous situations that have stemmed from this collector's series. Some funny, some disastrous.
This is a mogul ring that somehow it's found its way over from somewhere near the Taj Mahal over to the charity shop here.
Number 7. Antique apathy.
I've not done a neo-Renaissance jewel on the Antiques Roadshow in 30 years like this.
Cool.
This is the first one.
No matter if you're disappointed or delighted by your item's valuation, you've really got to ham it up for the cameras, lest you'll face the ire of the British public. When this young woman brought her item, a small jewellery box, onto the show, she discovered it was actually of Victorian-era origin. What's more, John Benjamin even gave the antique the hefty valuation of £10,000. Her response? A rather indifferent
It would finish up making £10,000.
Wow.
This led to viewers running to social media to lambast the guest, labelling her such things as ungrateful and rude. Believe it or not, there were even several news articles written by the press covering this supposed scandal. Much ado about nothing.
Great. Thank you.
Number 6. The $50,000 item.
It was up in a barn. It was covered with dirt and straw. Looked like some chicken droppings. I think it's probably late 19th or early 20th century.
Not just anyone can become a roadshow antique expert, you have to have a reputation to back up your valuations. This was certainly the case for American expert Stephen Fletcher when he appeared on the show in 2016. He was floored by the item presented to him, a large clay jug with faces protruding from it, and he made the bold claim that it was worth up to $50,000.
Somebody might well ask between $30,000 and $50,000 for this.
Quite the find for the buyer. This turned out to be total baloney though, when it was later discovered that it was not, in fact, an antique, but rather a sculpture made by a high school student in the 1970s. While this must have hurt Fletcher, we feel far worse for the owner who thought they were sitting on a small fortune.
It was actually made in 1973 by this high school student.
I think I was either 17 or 18.
Number 5. Antique or not.
Very abstract and also just lots of black and white and cubic shapes, and it must have been amazing, back in the day to see this kind of thing.
You know you've got a high value item on your hands when the artist behind it is one of Germany's most famous. However, there's a rather unique reason as to why viewers were miffed by its inclusion in the show.
Because, it has such a personal connection to your family. This is the sort of thing, if it came up at auction, it would definitely be in the region of sort of £600 to £800.
Oh, wow.
You see, the picture was created back in 1989, making the piece only 33 years old. Audiences were baffled, as it seemingly threw the entire concept of the show out the window, and of course, complaints were made. It seems we're just a few years away from Beanie Babies turning up on the show. Number 4. Tricking sellers. When you're an antiques expert on Antiques Roadshow, a lot of people put their trust in you. This trust was sadly betrayed on the American version of the series, when appraisers Russ Pritchard and George Juno were accused of using their status on the show to put cash in their pockets. They would, allegedly, undervalue items being sold by Civil War veteran descendants on the pretense that they would know how much they were worth. The sellers were under the conceit that the items were to be sold to Civil War museums, with Pritchard acting as the middleman, but in reality, he had no affiliation with them and added an extra zero at the end of his selling price. Items bought for $88,000 were set to be sold for $880,000. Number 3. Cancelled. If you know Antiques Roadshow, you know that it's got a passionate audience. So what happens when you take away that which they love most? Anger, resentment, hatred. The April 23, 2023 episode of Roadshow was suddenly taken off the viewing schedule when the BBC instead chose to cover the FA Cup semi-finals. Fury swept across Twitter and other social media as this fan-favourite series was put lower on the pedestal than a game of football. As if to pour salt in the wound, the game, which saw Manchester United face Brighton, was an uneventful slog, which reached a 0-0 draw. Number 2. Scammed.
I don't think she had an inkling of quite how excited we were until the taping started a bit later.
We again turn to the American Antiques Roadshow for this one, where one of its experts found himself on the receiving end of a scam. Lee Keno's auction house was allegedly scammed upwards of $178,000. Various items were bought by one collector who paid $45,000 up front and promised to pay the rest shortly after, but didn't. Bizarrely, the buyer, Grace Liu, attempted to purchase goods from him once again under a different name. Her attempt was quickly caught by Keno.
Right, thanks for bringing in
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm gonna go fishing now. I'm gonna take it with me this time.
Number 1. Colonies.
Well, I bought it in a local charity shop and it was with the costume jewellery.
How much did it cost?
It cost me £1.
A particularly fierce debate Antiques Roadshow has been facing in recent days is how it should handle items that came into possession via the British Empire. One such example was when a Mughal ring ended up in a charity show when it came all the way from Agra, India.
This is a Mughal ring that somehow it's found its way over from somewhere near the Taj Mahal over to the charity shop here.
An Oxford professor caused quite a stir by stating the show was problematic for not informing the viewers of its true origins. Some have called for the show to explain in greater length in each segment how these items may have arrived on our shores. Others argue that this could shake up the light-hearted nature of the show. The debate rages on.
Your £1 investment, you see, is worth £2,000.
Wow. I think I'll take it out of the drawer now.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojoUK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.